I'll show you how it's done. Shazam!
Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Underdeveloped, and today we have a movie review for you for Napoleon, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby, directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott he's the kind of director where he can either make something that's not good at all or something that's classic.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
He's the most hit-and-miss director ever.
Of all time, yeah. Which is kind of a special thing in itself.
All right, so Napoleon is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte, the classic French general who was born in Italy.
Who's someone known for a real tiny penis, but I don't know how true that is.
No, that's actually pretty true. So basically, the movie itself is more focused on Napoleon's relationship with his first wife, Joséphine. It does go over his many triumphs, his ascension to the ranks of general in the Revolutionary Army, his eventual takeover of France, and his defensive wars whereas the many coalitions of European nations against him. Though, of course, while they were defensive in a way, he was on the aggressive in most of those as he's invading a lot of other countries in a lot of those fights. So that's basically what we go through, and we also focus a lot on his relationship issues, like how he can't satisfy his wife.
That wasn't really, I never seen it be the problem. Seeing more she was sleeping around and he couldn't get her pregnant.
It was a combination of things that was building up to that.
That's what struck out to me. It does seem apparent that he wasn't satisfying, but it was something that really was discussed. You know what I mean? Because we saw sex scenes, he wasn't really making her do anything.
I mean, there's very clearly a power thing going on between her and Napoleon at the very least.
Yeah,
they have some weird ass power dynamic.
The funnest part of the relationship is literally toxic incarnate.
Oh yeah, I mean, neither of them are saints here. They're both pretty shitty.
Honestly, they do have a genuine, even though they're completely shitty people, especially the shit that she does. You know what I mean? Well, he does too. They actually have a genuine friendship and akin to each other.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. I mean, the thing is, I wouldn't even believe it if it wasn't for the fact that this movie does use the actual, every time you hear narration in this movie, it's always from an actual first party source. You hear Napoleon's narration, it's from his letters to his actual letters to his wife in real life.
Oh, that's cool. That's
same
neat.
thing. I think the same thing goes with Josephine also. So those are the actual conversations they're having back and forth.
I mean, I assume they should use actual conversations, or at least best rendition of.
That's what they're doing for their narrations, unlike their actual dialogue. Their actual dialogue's kind of over the place.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to recreate things that they weren't there for hundreds of years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's it's so much you really could do with that end. You know what I mean? Say if you was tasked with making the Napoleon movie, how much of that will be accurate to at least specific things they've said? You know what I mean? You only could give your best representation. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're doing a movie about someone modern. You know, that would be easier to okay.
Yeah, that'd be even easier because
I can get those phone records. I can speak to the people that they spoken to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, the further away you go from history, the harder and harder it gets to actually be that accurate.
And let's be honest, they're speaking, Napoleon, played by, Joaquin Phoenix, who's just talking like Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
With a little more diction to his voice.
Honestly, I feel like everyone's accent in this movie is terrible.
Yeah,
They're all bad across the board.
Everyone else is just British.
Yeah.
After him. I think Joaquin Phoenix, even though he didn't speak the way he was supposed to speak, I still think he was engaging. He had some really funny moments and some comedic one-liners. Just I don't know if it's just intentional or unintentional hilarious, but it's definitely hilarious.
Oh, you just think you're special because you have boats.
Because you have boats, and Destiny has afforded me lamb chops and shit like that.
This lamb chop is my destiny.
No, Destiny has bought me lamb chops. You know what I mean?
He says some funny shit.
Very seriously, no whimsy, dead ass. He says these lines, and I'm just in the literally almost turned into comedy on certain occasions. It really got funny.
Yeah,
and especially certain scenes of him and his wife. This guy was Josephine got really ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And to the point, he did this weird thing where he was we try to mate with her. He makes this sound, and it's what the hell is he doing? You know what I mean?
I know.
You know. So I don't know if that's his actual things or that's just that Napoleon did, or is Joaquin just trying to be funny. You know what I mean? Or just adding some, or just direct. I don't know. Basically, I don't know. Directing and acting the role that played in the authenticity of recreating these scenes with Napoleon. I just don't know. But either way, it was very entertaining.
Oh yeah.
They did get into a lot of things he did, especially him being betrayed by Tsar Alexander in Russia, and him plotting on people, his battle strategy. and to his inevitable capture and exile. Like, so they definitely like charted that route for him becoming the conqueror, him reestablishing the monarchy, and stuff like that. And it's like this war and like his basically war and his ideals. I think it was explored. I don't think it was explored enough. Definitely. And too much real estate was given to him and Josephine. Even though those scenes were enjoyable, they did take up a lot of the movie. Like, it kind of suffers the same thing that I feel movies like Top Gun suffered and Big suffered. Even though those are known as, like, classics, they suffer. Watching these movies, even though they are enjoyable and good, it suffers a lot from, like, giving too much time to the relationship. It almost feels like it stops the plot of what the story you're actually telling. Like, I want to see Napoleon become a conqueror. I want to see the relationships he made with these other nations and his goals, you know what I mean? Like, him achieving his goals, you know what I mean? Like, that should be the emphasis of the movie.
Because there's a great story to be told there. They're not telling it.
And that's the marketability. That's what people want to see. No one wants to see a fucking love story. You know what I mean? Why spend $200 million to tell a love story? What sense does that make?
Yeah, it's kind of a strange way to go about it. I mean,
fair enough, it did play a bit into what he's doing, but
I would still include it in the movie. That should be that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
The majority of the movie should be all the other stuff he did, and I felt the movie was horribly miscalculated with that.
Yeah, honestly, like, they could keep every scene they have, just like extend a lot of scenes and add a whole bunch of more scenes.
This movie could be over 3 hours.
Yeah, make it like an hour longer, maybe an hour and a half longer. That'd be
why
fine.
not? Why can't it be over 3 hours?
Yeah,
there's a lot of movies that were successful that did that. I mean, Kills of the Flower Moon did that. And that's a recent film. A little movie by the name of Lord of the Rings. All three of them did that, like 3.5 hours plus.
Those are long ass movies.
And the director's cut alone is like 4 hours. You know what I mean? But like, like those were long and those made a lot of money. Godfather was like almost 3 hours long and made a lot of money at that time. Gone with the Wind was very long, made a lot of money at the
very long movie.
So it's like, you can do it. You know, you might have to pay for more releases.
If people are interested,
in theaters, you know
people are interested enough, they won't give a shit about length.
Fucking Albert was like 3 hours long.
It was,
and made almost $1 billion. You may have to extend. You have to pay a lot more in distribution because you may have to extend your stays in cinemas and your reach. But you know what I mean, it's worth it to make a better movie. You know.
Yeah.
So,
because there's so much missing from this story.
Yeah,
I'm like,
what's the point
God.
of wasting this much money to have mostly movie filled with this toxic relationship?
Honestly, it's not even that. Like, what really bugs me is that a lot of the scenes that aren't revolved around that, they're just done so fast. Like, they're like they come and go
because they
don't explain
put so much time in that.
They don't explain how, like, what's happening and why it's happening.
They take less time to explain all the other good shit. But they take all the time to flesh out their relationship.
Yeah, like those are the only scenes that feel like they're properly paced, that they're not skipping through shit.
To give Vanessa Kirby more of like a purpose in his movie.
The rest of the movie feels like they're like just skimming through the cliff notes of everything Napoleon did.
And that's the same problem I had with Top Gun. You know what I mean? And Big. You know what I mean? A lot of movies dedicated to that. It felt like it kind of stunted your movie. And you kind of just told, what movie you're trying to tell kind of fell apart in what it actually became. Because, like, okay, you're telling this movie, but then it diverts heavy and becomes this new movie about this relationship, and that takes most of the second act, which is where you get all your meat and bones from. So it's like, so you're kind of shifting gears, you know, in the middle of the movie, and you're kind of subverting expectation of what this movie should have been or would be. So, yeah, I just felt that was a huge miscalculation. So for that alone, it loses a lot of points for me. So, I mean... I'll guess we probably like a 70.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too because while this movie is entertaining, I can't give a movie like this a crazy ass score. Like, a good movie is supposed to have scenes that are properly explained, properly set up. You understand what's happening. Like, I only understand what's happening because I already knew this shit. Yeah, if I didn't know anything, I'd be lost.
I assume you enjoyed more because you knew a lot of stuff. I didn't. So, like, I know very loosely just things involving Bonaparte.
Yeah.
And almost revolves around his penis. So, like, you know what I mean? So someone like me, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, I had to read about shit before this review to kind of get a glimpse. And all I got was a bunch of fucking terms that I had to go, okay, what is the Federalist Revolution? What are the Federalists? What is the siege of what? Tondar? What the fuck you call that place?
Yeah, I think it was like something. There was ton something,
whatever. The siege against that place that gave him power, that helped him rise in power. who's this person, who's that person.
The War of the First Coalition.
Who are the royalists, who are, you know what I mean, who are all these people?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? What are all these things? What are all these terms?
That's the hard part about trying to make a movie about Napoleon, because Napoleon starts off from one of the most complicated and dense points of history, ending the French Revolution, which is, that alone has so much to go into it, but then Napoleon has to deal with so much other shit on top of that. Like, oh my god.
It's a lot.
Napoleon is the perfect historical figure to have a miniseries dedicated to him, because
that would have been. I would TV should invest in a miniseries. Maybe make like 6 episodes.
Because he does a whole bunch of shit in Egypt that we didn't go through. He is Napoleon is legit the reason why we understand anything about the ancient Egyptian world at all, because he discovered the fucking what's it called? Not Rosemary.
They did have scenes with him in Egypt.
They had some scenes with him, but they didn't tackle all the most important things that he did there. Like, he found the fucking Rosetta Stone, which is how we're able to translate hieroglyphs, and why we understand anything about ancient Egyptian today, because we didn't understand dick about ancient Egypt before he showed up there. And then he did and then we didn't even get a scene where he crossed the Alps, where the famous ass painting of him riding the horse comes from, where it was like a depiction of him crossing the Alps like he was Hannibal. But we don't get that scene in the movie at all. And a lot of his
Who's Hannibal?
Hannibal was the first guy who led an army across the Alps during the second. He was from Carthage during the Second Punic War. That's a whole big thing back in 200 BC.
One of the best people to ever live, right? He was a very nice guy, I heard.
Not particularly. I mean, he was a great general, but
I heard he was like a sweet person. He kissed cats.
He cut his own eye out.
You said I'm giving a score.
I said 7. I agreed with you on 70.
Oh, you said you agree. I know you was actually giving me an exact score.
No, I'm fine with 70. 70 seems perfectly fair for this movie. The thing is, out of the theater, I was thinking more 80 because of how much I enjoyed it. But I thought
said
about
85
it more
when I got out the theater. But as I said,
the more I thought about this movie, I'm like, no, I can't give it a score that high, because as much as it was entertaining, it fundamentally fails as a storytelling as a way in terms of telling its story.
It's a good movie in terms of direction, acting.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't bored throughout it. The performances were
direction,
good.
performance, the action, the set pieces, the production design and its overall, and also the locations are gorgeous, and cinematography and everything is good. So all the filmmaking stuff are there.
Yeah, some of the battle scenes are really nice. I like
to a certain degree.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, it's just
some of them were just kind of too much. Where I'm like, whatever. But some we actually got to see.
2.5 hours doesn't do this movie justice.
Oh no, this really should have been a much longer movie.
So just for that alone, I have to.
Yeah,
because it didn't cover all the bases. So it feels like, you know what I mean, a rushed movie.
Oh, definitely. Definitely rushed. Yeah.
All right, guys. So if you enjoy this, so let us know what you think about this movie down below. And, of course, stay in tune as we review other films for the rest of the year. And we will be making a top 10 best and worst this year, finally.
Damn,
I'm excited about. We're watching a lot of movies this year. We're spending a lot of money going to theaters. You know, support your local theaters, of course. Watch good movies. I'll say still give us a watch. Why not?
Yeah. If you're interested, then go for it.
And, of course, like and subscribe and all that. And hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all of our latest content. See you guys in the next video.
Peace out, y'all.